ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Hexagon Studio Theatre. I'd like to take this opportunity to remind you to please turn your cell phones off. Also, please bear in mind that any recording or photography of any kind is strictly prohibited. Also, because we are over capacity tonight, I'd like to take this opportunity to remind the performers to project. Thank you and enjoy the show.
Papa me bunyame tubele zihlathini umoya wami udukile.
Papa me bunyame tubele zihlathini umoya wami udukile.
Papa me bunyame
tubele zihlathini umoya wami udukile.
Papa me bunyame
tubele zihlathini umoya wami udukile.
Papa Let's unite and fight all discrimination, unite.
Let's unite and fight all discrimination, unite.
Mastanganeni ma-Afrika.
Let's unite and fight all discrimination, unite.
Discrimination, unite.
Let's unite and fight all discrimination, unite.
Unite, unite, unite.
Let's unite and fight all discrimination, unite.
Who am I? I am a woman. That woman who not so long ago was beaten and deprived of simply being a woman, of simply being a human. That woman who cries, runs, fears, and hides. That woman who stays strong. That woman who holds on. What am I? I am an African woman. My blood mixes with the soil, mixes with the roots of isiqunga, mixes with the cries of anger, anguish, pain, love, and hope. My skin, the color of the ground I walk upon. My afro black, black as its past. My afro puffed and curled, plaited and formed to a crown of a true African queen. Wasana, my afro, the length of my afro determining the length of my struggle. Puffed and truly black, and African through and through. Though my past still lingers behind my ears because I still hear the cries of Abantu, Umuntu. I still hear the cries of my people. I still hear her tears falling down, silently down her face. I still hear the cries of Abantu, running, screaming, running, crying, burning. Those are the cries of my African people, my African pride. Dithetha ngomama Africa. That same woman who was forced to leave her land and head to a land foreign to her. That same woman who was forced to leave her ancestors behind. That same woman whose power is in her words, whose pride is in a step. One needs not ask because her history is written in the depths of her eyes. Shh. Ask no more, for I will tell you. I am a woman. An African woman.
We built sand castles that were washed away. I made you cry. They walked away. Oh, I know I promised that I couldn't stay. Every promise don't work out that way. Your heart is broken, 'cause I walked away. Show me your scars, and I won't walk away. Oh, 'cause although I promised that I couldn't stay, but every promise don't work out that way. No, 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 no. Every promise.
Something explodes and shakes the neighborhood.
Amber tongues of fire leap to the sky and light the hills for miles.
A moment later, another voice pierces the midnight air, also a woman's.
The pattern is always the same.
The explosion, fire. It went on like that, right through the night, from hill to hill, until Cato Manor looked like a demonic hell, roaring with fury from every side. Earth's ugliest things lurked in the dark. Nobody could unravel the mystery of the Indian women screaming in the night.
The explosion came from somewhere. Only the flames told the whole story.
The Zulus were on a warpath.
The Zulus were terrible when his fighting instinct was roused.
They asked no questions and they gave none.
The Zulu was brought up to believe that he must never ask mercy of his enemy.
In that mood, danger, pain, and death seized all together to have every people.
Like at the historical Battle of the North, the Boers surrendered themselves to their wagons. A log of their comrades. The Zulus came down the hill from every side, wave after wave of the bravest in the land. The Boer gun was accurate and deadly. It mowed them down in their thousands. Word came from the battlefront to great King Themba and his capital. The king warriors prayed for a moment.
Yeah, the white man still breathes fire!
From every mountain pass, from every hill and valley, comes a spontaneous song. Sai Savalenda, oh.
The warriors polished their spears and poured into Dingade's Umuntu crowd. They fight as the finest human race has fought for the things they love and considered precious in life. The terror of the night is gone, and the voice of the Indian woman is still. The charred petrol drums,
and the ruins gaping to heaven tell the terrible story. The story is in the tension which fills the atmosphere. Danger can be sensed in the air men breathe. The streets of Durban are like the streets of the city of the dead. The great factories in the industrial areas are all quiet. So quiet indeed that from the center of the town can be heard the distant hum of 1,000 voices in song. It is ominous in the midday air. It cannot be mistaken. It is martial music. The Zulus from the point are coming. They sing and march and follow, just as their ancestors had done at Ngome.
They're a community by themselves. They're isolated from the rest of their fellow men in the city by miles or past hotels over the beach front. Farther afield, they are also separated by the white man's main trading center. Elsewhere, the Zulus are surrounded by the ocean. These are pigmen at the peak of their strength.
Work continued without ceasing at the points, day and night. Zulu men whose wives and children are starving in the location and are only offered a few shillings, far less than what men of their race earn elsewhere. That is how things were at the point. You had to work like a demon, think like a demon, and live like a demon to earn bread for your children.
You see, the Zulus sing and march up Point Road, into Milner Street, finally Old Fort Road. No one stopped them. Only then could. From there, they marched on and on, up Booth Road, into Brier Road, finally Tollgate. From there, they spilled into Cato Manor and the surrounding Indian settlements. This was to reinforce the terror which had vanished with the coming of the morning sun. Human passions, wounded and frustrated, had suddenly burst out into wild excess of rioting.
One section went up this road, crossed the stream and went up to the side of the hill to a group of Indian cottages. The Zulus surrounded the first Indian cottages they got to. Their leader went straight to the front door and kicked it with his boots. Nobody replied. The door is locked. The Zulus smashed the windows and set the curtains on fire. They go to the other and the next until the whole Indian cottage is in flames.
An Indian woman from a banana plantation nearby sees the smoke and shouts across the road. Halfway down the road, a group of Indian men tried to stop her.
You can't go there. They'll kill you.
My children!
Where are they?
In the house!
You can't go there.
Is that all you can do for me?
The Zulus are coming from that point. Don't go there.
Fear grips her. She has stopped running. She remembers the ugly stories she has heard about the men from the point. No woman visits them in their compounds except by special permission. In the soft wind that blows. Her ear catches the wail of her two daughters. She tears past the men trying to stop her, dashes bush roads, crosses the streams and runs up the hills. And it's by this time she can hear the voices of her children very clearly.
What else can a mother do? Her arms and legs tremble. She tries to pull herself together, but her legs get caught in the fire of the sun. She stumbles and falls. But to fall that day was to invite trouble. Serious trouble. Because danger lurks among the bananas and in the grass between the plantations.
The Indian woman struggles to rise to her feet when she hears heavy footsteps behind her. She turns her head. Man of Africa is coming towards her. A stranger. She screams and tries to run, but strength was gone from her legs. She remains on the ground, waiting for the worst.
Brother.
Her voice is like a whisper from another world. She tries to say more. In vain. He hears. The hardness from his face begins to melt. The Indian woman's heart beat faster, half in fear and half in hope. A helpless and beautiful woman had to be scared when a man who could kill her stopped showing her a kind face. Besides, his clothes were in tatters. He stands to gain by looting Indian homes. He was barefoot and could, merely by joining the mob, get himself a new pair of shoes. There was something remarkable in this face. Poverty and the stains of suffering in a white man's world had carved massive wrinkles all over his face. His lips were anemic. But between the roughness and the wrinkles on his face, the Indian woman deciphers a language in which she understands. A language of mercy and compassion, which made her feel no longer in the presence of a stranger, an enemy, but she felt in the company of a fellow human being. And with that came hope. The Zulu's first impulse had been to walk past. His people and hers are at war. At least that's what he thought. She was an Indian, and he an African. The fashion in South Africa is to evaluate between vice and virtue in terms of race. Virtue is always on your people's side, and vice everywhere else. He resisted the temptation to take offense when an Indian started calling him brother. Besides, if he stands much longer by his side, there's always the danger that the menfolk of her race, probably hiding among the bananas, might shoot him.
On the other hand, the conflict between his people and the Indian does not make any sense to him. Why should the Zulus and the Indians, both of them in shackles, kill each other?
But he reminded himself it was none of his business to right the wrongs of a lunatic country. He had his own wife at Mahlabatini, Umuntu, right in the heart of Zululand, and his 2 little daughters to look after. Umuntu was 13 years old, and Nolwazi was much younger.
He does not want his wife to be a widow, or his daughters to be orphaned.
He had left home to keep